thanks to Rob, the last bit of my stuff arrived here on Wednesday late morning, including my mattress. So Wednesday night was my first night here. And I have to tell you, I'm still kind of incredibly discombobulated. I nearly came to church in my slippers because last night I found my shoes. You all can relate, Mary. Last night I found my shoes, and this morning, for the life of me, I could not find my shoes. So eventually I found another pair of shoes. But anyway, I am still emerging, slowly but surely. I was talking to Margaret last week, knowing she's a librarian, and telling her that I have this very vivid memory of my mother taking me to the public library when I was in elementary school, and thus began this long love affair with books and libraries. And I have to tell you, this summer, I was reminded how kind of simple pleasures are the best, because the friend that I was staying with in her guest room allowed me to use her address to establish my residency. And the very first thing I did was to go to the library in Cranston and get my library card. And I cannot tell you how happy that made me. And I spent the rest of the summer, July and August into September, reading voraciously. And that made me very happy because that reading is really a passion of mine. So I was also exhausted having moved back from San Francisco. So what I tended to choose to read this summer was easy stuff, like I reread all the Harry Potter books. They require not a lot of thought. And the Philip Pullman series. And then I thought, I read The Hobbit when I was in high school, but I never read Lord of the Rings. So I read Lord of the Rings and loved it. A little too much warfare for my liking, but still a great trilogy. And I'm a person that loves to make kind of unlikely connections. And so when I was reading and thinking about Mary and the fourth Sunday in Advent, I remembered reading a few years ago, actually, someone making a connection between Frodo and Mary. So let me explain. So Frodo is Bilbo's nephew, and Bilbo is the one in The Hobbit who has the ring, the gold ring that is this powerful ring that is mysterious, and most people don't know exactly all of its powers. And so in the Lord of the Rings, Bilbo, who is nearing the end of his life, decides, somewhat reluctantly, to give the ring to Frodo. And Frodo knows that this ring is very powerful. He doesn't know kind of all of its powers, but he knows that it has, it's shrouded in mystery, and it's a scary thing, but it's a wondrous thing. And so what happens is Bilbo's about to present it, and this is what the first book says. A great dread fell on Frodo, as if he was awaiting the pronouncement of some doom that he had long foreseen and vainly hoped might, after all, never be spoken. An overwhelming longing to rest and remain at peace filled all his heart. In other words, I'm not sure I'm going to take this thing. At last, with an effort, he spoke and wondered to hear his own words, as if some other will was using his small voice. And he said, "I will take the ring, though I do not know the way." I will take the ring, though I do not know the way. And that's the Mary parallel. That's the Mary connection. Think of her being asked to do something as huge as she was being asked to do. And her response must have been something like, I will follow you, O God, though you are calling me into an unknown place, and I do not know the way. It required incredible trust. And when I think about trust, I think about how that is not my strong suit. Not my will, but thy will be done. Being willing to follow into places unknown, or even being willing to follow into places that you know are going to be so hard. Yet you know you have to go. And so you do it step by step. And I imagine Mary, step by step, having to revisit that terror and lean in to trust. In San Francisco, there were two places as the rector at St. Francis that I didn't have to, I visited regularly. We were connected to Laguna Honda Hospital, which is a hospital for rehab but long-term care for people who couldn't afford to be anywhere else or who did not have anyone else to take care of them. It was a beautiful place, and we did a Eucharist there once a month. And the other place that I visited once a month was Next Door Homeless Shelter, which was run by Episcopal Charities and Episcopal Community Services. And I have to tell you, both places, when I left, I was lifted up because I was so moved by being with people who had really all the beauty stripped from their lives, but who continued to be able to walk this path of faith with some joy and with incredible trust. I mean, I left each month humbled because I thought, I'm not sure I have that much faith. I'm not sure I could walk that path with as much grace as some of the people I met were able to do. And Mary today is a reminder of that grace, of that trust we are invited to, and incredible love. We didn't read the Annunciation lesson today, but I have to say on the fourth Sunday of Advent, I always think of the angel Gabriel visiting, and I think of Annunciation and what it means. And I really think that we are often given our own annunciations. You know, God knocking on the door and saying, follow me. Come along. Here's a chance. Here's an opportunity. Here's a path that you might follow. And it kind of depends on us, doesn't it? Where we are in our lives in that moment as to whether we are able to say yes or maybe or no. No, thank you. Or no way, you know? And so over and over again, I think throughout our lives, we have these little annunciations, these little possibilities that we can choose to follow. We are able to follow, no judgment. Sometimes we just can't manage it. And I know those moments just as well as the other, when I have to say, no, not going down that path, thank you, but no thank you. And so on this fourth Sunday of Advent, with Christmas Eve tomorrow, I invite you to keep looking, to be open, to listen, to see, and even sometimes to choose not to. All of that is this graceful path that Mary reminds us of and invites us to. Amen.
Amen.